Hello there. So for today we're going to be looking at group dynamics, what makes groups work well together, what might impede that, and in particular we'll be looking at Bruce Tuckman's stages of group formation model that he put together in 1965. So one of the first things to think about is what is the difference actually between a group and a team. In theory, there are some differences, but the terms tend to be used quite interchangeably. A team is usually something that is brought together for a specific purpose and for a set period of time, whereas a group is something that's usually more long term, more informal. But although Tuckman uses the word group in his model, we're probably applying it more to teams because we're talking about bringing a group of people together and looking at the factors that can affect how they interact with each other, how well they get on, and what might be the things that are causing problems with the group dynamics. So those group dynamics can be affected, as we can see here, by a lot of different things. The individual characteristics of the people within the team, whether or not they get on well, whether there's personality clashes, whether they just rub each other up the wrong way, or whether they hit it off and get on really well together. The leader of the team, if they're a good leader, that can mean the team's functioning well, but if they've got someone who's actually not very good at leadership, who's not a strong leader, then that in itself can cause problems for the team as well. How the group's structured, whether they have clear roles, those sorts of things, whether there's any any struggle for power and status, whether someone who is not the actual leader of the team feels that they perhaps have more authority, feels that perhaps they should be in control. Things like that can cause problems, and over again I hear one of the main problems within teams, within organisations generally, is people not talking to each other, a lack of communication. So obviously that's a factor as well. So looking more particularly at Tuckman's model, I've gone with the original 1965 model rather than the revised model where he added a fifth element. So there is another updated version out there which has 5 stages, but for the purposes of today I'm just going to look at the 4 stages that we've got listed here. So Tuckman's idea was that as a group of people or a team come together, they go through various stages as they familiarise themselves with each other, get used to each other, figure out how the different people work, develop relationships and develop trust. So as they're going through each of these stages, they will get to know each other, and sometimes the dynamic in the team will be good, other times there may be issues within the team, and that's what we've got to look at. So what you're thinking about with each of these stages is how well or how badly the team get on with each other, and if you're trying to help the team develop, help the team function better, what is it that you can do to actually help that happen. So with the forming stage, with the forming stage, you have a group of people coming together who maybe don't know each other at all, they've never met before, so there's a lot of uncertainty in the room or within the team. They don't know each other, they don't know who they can trust, they don't know what the strengths and weaknesses are, so they're more likely to be reserved, they're more likely to hold back and not get involved. So they're definitely going to be working and functioning as individuals. They're not thinking about the team, they're not thinking about the purpose of the team, they're thinking about themselves and about their own self-interests. So not much going on within the team at this stage because everybody's watching everybody else and seeing what's going on, so they're reserving judgment, they're holding back. So the next stage, the storming stage, getting to know each other a little bit more, but you will have the stronger members of the team will be starting to assert themselves. There'll be perhaps power struggles as they're trying to establish dominance, trying to establish control. and there will be a lot of conflict. Okay, so at this stage is probably where you're going to have most conflict within the team, because boundaries are being established, boundaries are being tested as they get to know each other. They're getting to figure out where the trigger points are, and you could end up with division within the team. So you want to be aware of the causes of conflict within this stage. But you also need to try and figure out how to take things forward, how to get these people who perhaps are not getting on with each other as well as they could be. How do you get them to talk to each other? How do you bring them together? Moving on from that stage to the next stage is a norming stage. And they're starting to work together as a team. They're beginning to settle down. They're understanding the strengths and the weaknesses of the different people within the team. They are working better, they're working more coherently, and they're functioning as a team. Remember at the very beginning I said that at the forming stage they would be working individually, working on their own. Well, at this stage they're more likely to be working as a team. It's not going to be perfect. There may still occasionally be conflict. There may still be times when they're not going to get on quite so well, but they're starting to establish themselves as a team. They're starting to work effectively, but there's still room for improvement. There's still an opportunity for them to work even better. And that's where our final stage comes in, the performing stage, where they are a highly performing team. They're working at their optimum. They understand each other. They can anticipate what the other people in the team are going to be doing, what they need. So they're going to be functioning very well, very efficiently, and they'll be running smoothly. They won't need any interference. They won't need any input from the manager. The team leader can take a step back because this team knows what they're doing and just gets on with the job. As I said before, I have not included the fifth stage, which is adjourning. And what would normally happen with that stage is once the team's served its purpose, it's achieved the project that it's been put together to work on, they can go through a stage where the team's been disbanded. They're not together as a team anymore. It's been broken up. They may be going off to work in new teams, but you're dealing with emotions that are tied in with a sense of loss, a sense of they don't want to let go of the team. They don't want to deal with the changes that are coming. So it's about helping people with that transition. So with each of the stages of Tuckman's model, you're looking at what's happening in each of the stages and you're thinking about, right, okay, if I'm at the performing stage, the manager, the leader can actually be quite hands off. Let the team go on with what they're doing because they know what they're doing and they don't need that support, they don't need that guidance. If you're at the very beginning, then there's more input required, there's more guidance. And if we go to the storming stage, as I said, this is where you have most of the conflict. So if you've got the conflict during the storming stage, the line manager is really dealing with conflict management. How do you resolve the conflict within the team? How do you resolve the conflict that's erupting between the different team members? So you're thinking about those sorts of things. So as I said, Tuckman's model is looking at, there are 4 or 5 stages that teams go through as they go from the stage of coming together at the beginning, working through, getting to know each other, to being a highly performing team. And the role of the team leader or the manager is to work with the team to make sure that they're getting the support that's required to help them through these different stages. I hope you found that helpful.